Good morning. This is the Valley Voices program on 94.7 WMS and 98.1 WHLL. This week's public service show highlights local organizations, loyal listeners like you, and individuals like our next guest who are dedicated to improving the local community. Good morning. I'm your host, Matt Peterson, and today we are talking to
Jeannine Pavlak from NEBA, formerly New England Business Associates.
Very nice. Good morning, Jeannine, and thank you for visiting us on Valley Voices. Now, Jeannine, can you please provide us with a brief history of yourself, please?
Sure. I've been with NEBA now for 36 years. I graduated.
36 years?
36 years.
You look young. You're beautiful. That's fantastic.
Well, thanks. I'll have to come on the show more often. I got out of college. I was originally from Maryland, and I moved up to Massachusetts. My mom had a best friend up here, and so I was able to stay somewhere affordable while I kind of got my feet wet. And at the time, our local state institution, Belchertown State School, was closing its doors, and so as much as my father wanted me to be a New York Life salesman, I was just drawn to all the positions that were, working with people who were getting out of that state school, looking for new opportunities for their lives. And so I came up, I did a week worth of interviews. I was offered a job at NEBA. 2 weeks later, I moved up and I've never left. I started as a job coach and now am the CEO of the organization.
Fantastic. So CEO now. So how did you first come to NEBA? You did a couple job searches, looked around, found your way there. What does NEBA stand for?
Well, now it's an acronym now. When we started in 1983, the name of the organization was New England Business Associates. And the reason for that was we wanted to be able to meet employers and not have a name that sounded very human service-like. And so they just came up with the name, our founding executive director, New England Business Associates, because we were working in Massachusetts with the hope of helping other New England states.
Right here in New England, work for businesses.
Right, create new opportunities and new business models.
Very nice. So let's explain your first experience coming to NEBA. So you've got a lengthy resume, I'm sure now. Mm-hmm. What was your first experience with NEBA?
So as I said, I started back then it was called an employment specialist. And so when I first started, I was working with individuals with disabilities who hadn't formally had an opportunity to work. Most of them, the expectation of working a job for real pay wasn't something that people thought about. It was relatively new. And so I was introduced to job seekers and some folks who had attained a job, and I worked side by side with them, kind of looking at ways to make their jobs maybe more efficient, or looking at the best ways that people learn and kind of figuring out, how they can do that work, meeting those employer requirements that had been set. And so I started with two young women. And in fact, we were the same exact age. They were getting out of high school because they had a disability. They were in high school until they were 22. I just had gotten out of college. I was the same age. And so it was really really rewarding to work side by side these two women who, we were the same age and both kind of starting our first real jobs. And so I loved it. So I've just never left.
Refresh my memory. Is this right around the same time as the ADA, the American Disabilities Act?
Well, that was in the 70s, but certainly that influenced a lot of the options that people have today, certainly.
So the ADA was back around, I'm sorry, I was thinking late 80s, early 90s for the ADA.
Oh, you know what? I could be wrong with my dates, so don't quote me on that.
Okay. But if that started, so you say you started working with someone who was disabled as well. What type of, was it a physical disability? Was it a mental disability? What was it?
They both had, one in particular did have she had cerebral palsy, but she also had a developmental disability. And the other woman also had a developmental disability, but she had a very significant seizure disorder. And so finding employment for her in the community was a little challenging in that we had to find a job that had she had a seizure, which was pretty likely, that she had a place where she could quietly kind of rest for a little bit. After that, and then continue working. And so their first job was at Motel 6. And so that was a
few beds lying around. So if she
right,
needs to take a break,
and so when we talked to them, we assured them that Kate and Chris could do a phenomenal job working together, getting the rooms cleaned, as well as greeting the guests. But yes, we had to have that little bit of that, if she has a seizure, can we, stay in one of the rooms that we're cleaning, not one that's already been cleaned, but just so she can kind of work that off.
Definitely interesting. So now you are the CEO. So how long have you been the CEO of NEBA?
I'm going to say 24 years I've been the CEO. And what's really funny is the founding executive director during my interview said, "Oh, you're going to be the next executive director." And
You're like, "No way,
right?
not
Like I was
me."
like, this woman, like, right? And she said it all the time to me. And then one day when she actually retired, I was like, "What?" I never thought she would retire, but
Well, she was priming you the whole time.
She was.
Telling you exactly what was going to happen and just
Yeah.
laid the path for you to go and walk down the path. So.
Absolutely. She was grooming me, making sure that I was learning kind of the skills that I would need to learn to continue to lead the organization and expand it.
Very nice. So 24 years, your current role as the CEO of NEBA. That is fantastic. What is the actual mission statement for NEBA?
So the mission is to really help individuals with disabilities and other barriers to enter the workforce, ideally become empowered through employment, sustainable, getting off of public benefits, so they can, continue to grow. And, like all of us, we all have career aspirations. We all want to certainly make enough money that we can afford to do things that we want to do. And so it's really, empowering people through employment to not only be contributing members of their community, but to be as self-sustaining as possible.
In terms of the employment, are you looking mostly for part-time, full-time, or is it depending on each one of the individual cases?
Depends on each person, their situation, and what they want to do. And so we talk about full-time employment, which is great because certainly that gives you the more resources. But for some people, given the benefits that they do collect, it can be a little bit of a fear there of losing those benefits. So we do have benefits counselors on staff so that they can work directly with people and really kind of look into what they get for public assistance and talk about, how each dollar that they earn might impact that. And for the majority of people, work is better, but there are a few situations where working part-time is going to be better for that person.
So how many people do you think utilize your services right now, say monthly?
On a monthly basis, I would say probably 150 on a monthly basis. And there's some people we serve for a long time, and we're always not with them, but we're always there as a support. And then some people that we find employment for, we stay in touch with for a bit, and then they contact us if they need us.
So you set up interviews with the people? You set up the interviews, or you set up job applications, or do you screen them first and then send out their information, or how does it work?
No. So the majority of the people are referred to our services through either the Department of Developmental Services, Mass Rehab Commission, local school systems, or the Department of Transitional Assistance. And then we have some people who private pay for their services, but so we typically get a referral. We'll talk to that person and their family if their family is, very part of their, everyday life, and really kind of find out what it is that they want to accomplish in terms of, are there specific trainings or certifications that they might want to pursue? Do they need assistance maybe, kind of identifying career interests? And so we can do some assessments. But a lot of our work is really getting to know people, who they are, where they can be their best selves, right? And meet the goals and dreams that they have. We spend a lot of time, though, working with the local community, the employers, to find out what do they need. What are their pain points? Where are they stuck hiring? Everyone right now, we're having a bit of a workforce crisis. And so really being out there, listening to employers and trying to match their very specific needs with people who come to us who want to work. And so we then do that match. And so for the person, it's a win-win because they're doing something that they want to do that really highlights their skills and not, kind of some of their challenges. And then for the employer, same thing. We never know. You're interviewing someone, they can be great, but they might not really be a good fit. And so we really make sure that we're meeting what that employer needs and what that employee needs. And so we're just kind of like that matchmaker.
Not to put you on the spot right now, Jeannine, but quick question for you. How many people do you have waiting for work right now in the system?
Oh, that's a tough one. So...
And while you're thinking about that, we should mention that NEBA did start off as New England right here in Massachusetts, but now you've gone national. So that might be a pretty big of a scope for you to answer. But right now, do you have people literally knocking on your doors to find work right now?
Oh, absolutely. Just about every day we have a few people, up to like 12 people a day reaching out to us who are interested in finding employment. And so, we then, kind of set appointments, figure out who's best to serve them, and then go from there.
So if someone wanted to get in touch with NEBA, how can they go about doing that? Is there a phone number they can call? Is there a 1-800 number?
Well, there is a phone number. We used
Or
to
do you
have
just
a
go online?
1-800 number, but nobody ever called it. So the actual phone number is 413-821-9200. But our website is really easy to navigate. And so whether you're a student leaving school and you want services, whether you're an adult looking for a job, whether you're an employer looking for employees, or whether you're a provider or other entity who's looking for some consultation and training, go onto our website, pick the box that best suits you, and you can go ahead and put an inquiry and somebody will get right back to you.
And what is that website?
That would be nebaworks.com.
nebaworks.com. Fantastic.
Correct.
Very nice. So how many staff and volunteers do you currently have at NEBA right now?
So we have 44 staff. We have, I'm going to say about 18 different volunteers that, between our board of directors, as well as we provide some internships and practicums to students who are in college getting their degrees. And so they're not paid, but they are doing an internship directly with us to, again, kind of match what they're learning with some actual,
and just life skills, regular life skills. That's very important. Whether you're an intern or a part-time or full-time or just looking out, and they have they call the probation period. Probational period.
Absolutely.
I'm using air quotes. We're on radio. So they have the probation period. It could be a month, 3 months, 6 months sometimes even 9 or a year to find out if they're going to get placed for employment. So how long would you say the average tenure of someone working with NEBA is?
Of our staff, we actually have pretty good retention. We found that because we track all that data. The highest turnover tends to be like right before a year. That people are choosing, like, it takes a good 6 months.
Should I go? Is this nice?
Right,
Is this what I want to do?
But then the second kind of group would be about 5 years. And so our most of our staff have been with us like 8+ years. We're talking like myself, 24 years, 17 years, 16 years, 22. Most of us have been there.
36 years as the executive director before you? She was there many years?
She was there, yeah. Well, she would be there 22, 24 years as well, yeah.
Fantastic.
So we have great retention, always looking to make sure that we're doing what we can for our employees. So
very nice. Good morning once again. This is the Valley Voices program on 94.7 WMS and 98.1 WHLL. This week, Public Service Show is highlights local organizations, loyal listeners like you, and our individuals today who are dedicated to improving the local community. Good morning. I'm your host, Matt Peterson, and today we're talking with
Jeannine Pavlak, CEO of New England Business Associates.
Very nice.
NEBA.
Yeah. Very nice. So, Jeannine, we've gone over a lot of great information so far, but let's talk about locations for NEBA. How can people find out if they can go online? You gave us the phone number already. How many locations for NEBA are there?
There's two physical locations. There's 66 Industry Avenue right in Springfield. And then we have a Worcester office as well. So we're in Central Mass. Those are our two physical offices. We provide services throughout the state of Connecticut, although we chose not to have an office. So all of our employees work out in the community, which is where all of our work happens. The other offices are, for some meeting space and mostly kind of our administrative kind of team.
So you've got the two locations, and then you're remotely in Connecticut, but you've gone national as well. So I'm sure there's many, many offices out there. So if people were looking to find out more information about NEBA, just basically go online, check off a few boxes, tell people what they're looking for, or do they contact you personally?
And so our national work is all done virtually, although we can connect people if they need face-to-face services with other resources, but we can still help them. We do a lot of small business development, and so we'll help, kind of go through that business plan writing, kind of looking at the market, research and those kinds of things, which we can do remotely. And then, as I said, we can always refer them to other resources within their communities across different states throughout the country. We're 42 different states in the country. We're providing services to some amount of people.
So there's lots of great information, lots of tools, lots of resources, information there as well. Do you guys provide any kind of workshops, trainings, or seminars?
We do. So we recently were grant funded to do a demonstration project with the manufacturing industry. And so we partnered with Mass MEP, and so they're the certifying body in Massachusetts for advanced manufacturing. Because what we find is if you have a developmental disability in particular, there's great training programs to enter different industries, but they don't necessarily meet the qualifications to get in, because they might not be able to pass something like the TABE test yet. And they're so competitive, right? They have no problems filling their seats. And so our grant was to partner with Mass MEP and work with individuals to learn the actual manufacturing skills that are needed, and then help them find jobs in the manufacturing career. And so that was a 8-week program where they got the hands-on manufacturing skills, and then 4 weeks of kind of the soft skill prep. What are we gonna say during your interview? What are we gonna wear? Who are we applying to? Kind of researching companies, that kind of stuff. They got a few different things. And then oftentimes people will come, they want their CNA certification or any number of different certificates. And we're always looking at innovative ways to create other opportunities for people to really get some hands-on learning.
So talk about hands-on learning. Do you guys work with any local school systems at all?
We work with several local school systems. So primarily as students are getting closer to leaving high school, oftentimes we'll work with students to, again, kind of prepare them for that. Now I'm leaving high school, which you don't think about until you're leaving high school, whether you have a disability or not. It's kind of like, well, what do I do?
Typical teenagers not think about that at all.
So,
let me get out of here. What am I doing next week? I don't know.
But then it is that kind of that, like, now what do I do? And so we work with several students who are leaving leaving high school because they're graduating. We also have a program funded through Mass Rehab Commission, as well as in Connecticut through Bureau of Rehabilitation Services, and it's called Pre-Employment Transition Services. And so if you have a disability, or you don't necessarily have to have like an actual diagnosed disability, but if you may access voc rehab services in the future, or if like you can fit within this program, and it's 14 until they graduate, and there's different components that we can do within the school systems that again are really kind of helping people identify what skills do I need, where are the resources that generic resources that I can use to help myself find work, and really honing in on what are my career aspirations.
Do you have psychologists, therapists? Who's working actually for the association?
So no, we don't have any of those. We do partner, though. We have many community partners. So if people need services, then we can kind of reach out to our partners and people can receive those. But we have employment consultants that do really kind of soup to nuts. I'm talking to employers and finding out about employers. I'm working directly with you and helping you identify your career interests. And then I'm going to help make that introduction. I'll support you through the interview process if you need that and want that. And I'll be there for, a period of time while you're learning your job to make sure that you're comfortable and that your employer is comfortable.
And you had mentioned before that people can be with you for a year, 6 months. It comes and goes.
It does.
It's a revolving door, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
And that's definitely one of the things that's happened right here within the local economy, of course, as well. What are you seeing for trends for people looking to go to work, though? Any great trends or anything new that you'd like to talk about?
Trends looking for work.
Do you think more people are doing it through Zoom, or are they doing it more through actually applying online?
Well, applying online is definitely the trend. And we support people, to kind of look online and Indeed and submit their applications. But for a lot of the people that we're supporting to find work, a lot of the job seekers, the best approach is really having those employer relationships first. And so that way we can really say, here's Joe, and he has this. In fact, Joe works at another radio station. He's got a skill and an interest that.
We had a guy by the name of Joe here who did work at the radio station.
That was Bellingham WMS.
Yes.
Oh, that's Joe.
Yes.
Perfect. Yeah. So identifying those things and matching those things is the best way.
Do you work with vocational schools at all, or is it public school systems, which are all of them, or who do you work with?
Mostly public, private. We do occasionally work with some vocational schools as well. So
generally you're saying that someone would get a diagnosis or a possible diagnosis, they're waiting for a diagnosis, then they would get referred from their doctor, therapist, or employer, and they go looking for work from you. What is the average... It's hard to say average time of how long someone's actually looking for a job. But what do you think the average person is looking for in a job nowadays?
I would say on average it takes about 90 days. Certainly for many it takes less, but there's some that it takes longer. But the retention rate for people once we really find that job match is way beyond, I'm going to say 3 years or more, which the national average is like 6 to 12 months.
Now, you had mentioned that you've been with your position for quite a while, and that's unusual. There's a lot of people out there in the workforce right now that haven't been with the careers that long, or that haven't had that longevity with the career. Typically, it used to be, back in 2000 or 2010, the average person used to change careers 3 to 5 times in a lifetime. That's obviously changed now. That's out the window. It's got to be at least 5 to 8, if not 7 to 10 times throughout their career, I'm sure.
Oh, right. The turnover is so fast. My husband, though, always made fun of me because I really found my perfect career. I've never left. I'm the only person that he knows who's been working for the same organization their whole adult career life. So
if someone ended up on unemployment recently through the pandemic, through COVID-19, everything, what is the average they're now saying for you to apply for jobs? How many jobs are you supposed to apply to in a week?
It's like 18 to 20 jobs a week now that you're applying.
18 to 20 a week?
It's a lot that you're applying for.
Wow.
But you know what's so interesting is there's such a demand for employees, but you have to really do your research and, kind of keep working at finding that job that's going to really kind of meet your needs.
So you definitely have to be very persistent.
Yes.
You definitely have to be very determined. And I guess one of the things you might want to say is don't accept no, keep trying.
Absolutely.
Don't.
Well, and there's a job for every single person, right? We all have gifts that some employer needs or a talent. So absolutely, you have to just stay persistent. The right job will come along. Some people, and it's okay to take a job as an initial beginning, like most
Got to get your
of
foot in the
us
door
do,
somewhere. Got to get
right?
started somewhere.
But I think what's really important and what I really am proud of our services is that we will help you get your first job, certainly, but we want to make sure that we're helping you identify a career path, and so that way you can continue to learn and grow. So it's not going to be your first job that you're going to be stuck with forever. Like, let's really kind of map that out for you.
Wow. That's 18, 20 jobs a week?
It's a lot.
Or a day? I was thinking back years ago, it was like 3 to 5. Like 3 to 5 going here.
No,
so it's been a while since I've been on unemployment, unfortunately. But wow, so that's a lot. How can someone actually go out to that many places? So I mean, you're doing online.
Well, and
some
that's
places are doing
why.
Zoom, some are doing
So
technology.
I think that's why my preferred way to find jobs is not online. But if you're somebody who was on unemployment and you're not necessarily referred to an organization like ours, then you're primarily doing that through Indeed or Monster or any of those, kind of online platforms. And so many people apply. I mean, people are just applying. And I feel like oftentimes because they need work, they're not even really reading what the job really entails. And so I know from us, we have our job openings on Indeed, and sometimes we get applications that really have nothing to do with what we do, because people are really desperate to find work.
Do you think they're overqualified or underqualified or just applying? Like I said, that's a lot of 18 to 20.
Yeah,
that's
it's
a
just
lot.
people putting their applications out
Right.
there. Yeah.
So it's like
It's a
trying to
lot.
grasp bras out there and you're just throwing it to the wind and seeing where it lands.
Right. And for employers, although, again, there's such a workforce shortage, they're just kind of reading through all these applications. So
What would you recommend, or can you recommend something that will make someone's either cover letter, resume, or application stand out? Is it just personally knowing someone involved with the business or the job they're applying for?
all right. So the best way to find a job, whether you're referred to our services or not, is always through your network. Always, right? So how did you get your first job? Was it through a friend of a friend?
Yeah.
Right. And so me too. And so, that's the best way, is to have that, at least that soft introduction. And so beyond using your network, and a tool that's really helpful that I like to watch people do is, if you were to do kind of a map, we call it a relationship map. And if you were to kind of, draw yourself in a circle, and then like your network, right? Your family, your siblings, your relatives, your whatever.
Aunts, uncles, grandparents,
Right.
friends,
But
friend
then
of a
you
friend, brother.
extend that out, right? Like, who does my brother Graham, who owns his own HVAC business, who does he know? Who are his suppliers? And you keep growing it out, and it's amazing, really, how if you take the time to do that, how many soft leads you actually might have that somebody can help you either make an introduction or say, hey, most jobs aren't even advertised. So,
Yeah, that's very important too. And just because you walk by a place and see that help is wanted, and that's something interesting right now. You walk in a restaurant right now, and I don't mean to talk bad about the people who work in restaurants, but you walk in there's empty seats, and they say there's a 45-minute, hour-long wait. And you're like, but there's a table right there.
But
And
they
when
just
you ask
don't have
why,
enough,
they
yeah.
say, we don't have the help. And it's taking a look at how the economy is right now, what's happening across the jobs and everything. It's like people, but what you're saying is people are out there. People want to go back to work.
Absolutely.
And we're kind of right now coming out of what they call the Great Resignation. And I guess if you had a job right now, if you have a job now and if you're happy at the job, stay at the job. If you're not happy, obviously there's other jobs out there that you can go look for. But don't just jump ship early before you. And it used to be, don't leave your job until you have another one.
Right.
That was,
and that's still true. Don't leave a job until you have another one. But a service that I feel, we provide for employers is, again, that they might not even have a hiring need that they know of, but there might be a better return on investment if maybe a job was restructured in a different way. Maybe some of their, high-paid employees could be taking on other tasks, and we can help find someone who can do those other tasks that are necessary as well. And so really being able to kind of customize some of that for employers and job seekers is really beneficial.
Very nice. Good morning once again. This is the Valley Voices program on 94.7 WMS and 98.1 WHLL. This week, public service show highlights local organizations, loyal listeners, individuals like our next guest who are dedicated to improving the local community. Good morning. I'm your host, Matt Peterson from Odyssey and 94.7 WMS. And today we are talking to Jeannine Pavlak from neba, N-E-B-A, which has now gone national. Congratulations. That is fantastic.
Thanks so much.
Right. So, Jeannine, we have a few minutes to wrap up here. What would you like to tell our loyal listeners?
Loyal listeners. Well, certainly if you're an employer and you need employees, please go to our website and call us. If you're someone who's looking for employment and you're struggling, give us a call. Again, our website's very easy to navigate, and somebody will always get back to you.
And what is that website again?
nebaworks.com.
And there was also a phone number that they can call right here in New England.
Yep, 413-821-9200.
And let's go back and take a look at, mention a few of the services that you are actually providing at neba. If someone wanted to get and find out more information about neba, they can go through these and just roll off a few of the ideas or a few of the services you actually have right now at neba.
Sure. So we can do career interest and career assessments. So again, for people who really don't know what they want to do, there's resources that we have available to really help kind of hone down kind of what those industry specific things, areas might be. We have an online platform where people can visually kind of see what that specific job in that industry would look like for them. Of course, we do interview, resume prep,
cover letters,
all of that stuff. Small business plan development and support. Again, that employer services, which is really, really important to the employers. Different certifications and trainings that we can provide, assist people with as well. Again, if they know what it is that they want, it's easy for us to do that. But I think spending time with our staff and really making sure, kind of that you're identifying kind of where you want to be is important.
Jean, do you guys host any kind of events throughout the year?
We do. So this year was our first year. We do a film, I call it a film festival, but it's one or two films with Springfield College. And so we do that in the fall. Last year it was in September. So September, early October, we'll be doing that on an annual basis. And it's a variety of different films. It's free to the public. But after that, it's great community conversation. In April, we're doing a comedy night to raise some funds to, again, help kind of do those certifications and trainings that we're not always funded to do. And so that's...
Is that going to be right here in Springfield? Where's that?
It's going to be at Nathan Bill's in April, and we're partnered with Funny for Funds. I don't know if you've heard them, but
actually, we had Philip, we had the founder of that on 2 weeks ago.
Oh, perfect. So they're helping us with that. And so we're hoping to get a big crowd. That should be fun.
Nice. And what about during the winter months? Any kind of...
Not yet. Stay tuned. So now that, we'll never be done with COVID, but we're out of that, we can start planning some other events.
Right. And how have things have grown quite well for neba since COVID happened. You guys are national. That's going to be great. I mean, grants coming in left and right. Are there people willing to hand out money and to donate to you or help you out?
I wish we could get more of that, certainly. But, we like to call ourselves the best kept secret because, we do our work and we're passionate about our work. But kind of doing that, fundraising isn't always our strength. And so, hopefully as we get, kind of better known out there, then that'll grow as well. But, we were super lucky during COVID because we were able to keep all of our employees.
Oh, fantastic.
And so although we had to move to a remote platform, we were still able to serve all of our job seekers. We didn't have to, lay off anyone. So we were super grateful.
Well,
and
thank
now
you
we've
so much
come
for
back
taking time out of
stronger.
your schedule, and we can actually see each other face to face now.
Yes.
Instead of talking on Zoom, it was there and it was great when it worked, but technology, you love it when you love it or you hate it when you hate it.
Right. I'm
it's
a little
great when the thing's
zoomed
there.
out.
Yeah. I think a lot of us were. That was definitely true. Good morning once again, and thank you for listening to Valley Voices on 94.7 WMS and 98.1 WHLL. If you'd like to appear on Valley Voices, please email matt.peterson@odyssey.com for more information. Please join us next week for another exciting episode of Valley Voices. Please remember to be kind to each other, stay safe, stay healthy, and keep on looking for those jobs out there. And once again, Jeannine, would you please tell us the mission statement for NEBA?
Simply put, we're empowering people through employment.
And how can they get in touch with you?
413-821-9200 and our website, nebaworks.com.
Thank you very much. Good morning, and thank you for listening to Valley Voices on 94.7 WMS and 98.1 WHLL. This has been Valley Voices. Please take care and enjoy, and keep on searching for those jobs. Best of luck to you.